was 17, I ran away from home and from everything I had ever known. I was sick and tired, living in a town filled with narrow minds and hay. They used to laugh at me, their children called me names, I would run and hide.
Hello, 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 and thank you so much for tuning in to A Spoonful of Comfort. I am Claudrine Jackson. I am your host for A Spoonful of Comfort. I am the author of Inspired by Autism, which is a book that you can get right here at WHPR in the bookstore. And if you come on Tuesdays and pick up the book, I will sign it for you. I'm also the author of another book, Let There Be Light, and there's a book on the internet called A Spoonful of Comfort, which is the same name as this show. So thank you so much for tuning in, and I appreciate the privilege of your time. You can contact me by email, Jackson Claudrine, CLAUDREEN, at sbcglobal.net. That's Jackson Claudrine at sbcglobal.net. You can contact the Purvis Jackson Autism Foundation at Post Office Box 04422, Detroit, Michigan 48204. That's P.O. Box 04422, Detroit, Michigan 48204. So you can contact me either way. You can contact the foundation to make a donation or to get in touch with me. Now, the Purvis Foundation was started by my husband, Purvis Jackson, who was the bass singer of the Spinners. And because we have a son who's handicapped, we wanted to do something for lower income people with handicaps. We know that there are a lot of needy people in the world, but people with low incomes and handicaps are some of the neediest. And I feel a responsibility to these people because I am one of the more fortunate people. And doesn't God want those of us who are more fortunate to help the less fortunate? So we do things for them that wealthy parents can afford to do on their own. So the Purvis Foundation has expanded unintentionally, and we got national attention, but we didn't start getting national money. But we want to keep the foundation going, and we want to keep helping children with handicaps, because I remember the days when I was down and depressed and upset and I wish someone could just give me a day off, or I wish I could just have a break or go out to dinner, because my son, his behavior was so challenging, I'll use the word challenging, that the year that he was born, 1975, was the year that they quit putting people with his kind of behaviors in institutions. So I did not know what to do with a person with this kind of behavior. And people with autism are some of the most, have some of the most challenging behaviors. So here we are 42 years later, and I so much worried about the future and what I'm going to do and how I'm going to handle it. So I'm now living in the future that I was so afraid of. But the parents who are going through what I went through need help. If you have a child with a handicap, I know you need help. Even the wealthy people with a child with a handicap need help, but they can pay for it. Anyhow, so thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for the privilege of your time. I want to share with you information about an event that I attended this weekend. It's the Rhythm and Blues Hall of Fame induction ceremony. The Rhythm and Blues Hall of Fame induction ceremony. It was a wonderful event. Lamont Robinson, who was not an entertainer, he was an athlete. He played with a group called the Harlem Road Kings. He is going to build the museum, the Rhythm and Blues Museum here in the city of Detroit. And he had his Hall of Fame induction ceremony this past Sunday, and it was wonderful. The Spinners were inducted in 2015. So I really appreciate what Lamont is trying to do. Now, the ceremony was held at the Charles H. Wright Museum of African American History, and once again, it was a success. It was hosted by Mary Wilson of the Supremes. Everyone knows who the Supremes are. Everyone knows who Mary Wilson is. And Spider Turner. Spider sang many years ago with a group called the Precisions, but he's been singing and performing for many years. He's had a song, Stand By Me. Stand By Me was first recorded by B&E King, but Spider Turner also recorded Stand By Me. And in his version, he imitated a lot of other singers. If this person was doing it, this is how they would do it. And I was very impressed with his talent. He performed for us Sunday, and he's still great. David Washington was one of the hosts. It was Mary Wells, Spider Turner, Donna Wheelwright, Nen Bailey, and Lorenzo Jones, who hosted along with David Washington, who is one of the board presidents of the Rhythm and Blues Hall of Fame. And he is a commentator on Unsung. I've talked to you about Unsung when they did an episode about the Spinners. So I was very glad to see him there. So these are the people that hosted and kept the show going during the induction ceremony. There was special honors. There was a tribute to Aretha Franklin. And it was sung, the song was sung by Joan Belgrave, who is the widow of Marcus Belgrave, one of our premier jazz trumpeters who lived in the city. He was also inducted into the Hall of Fame. Aretha Franklin got the Icon Award, and they're asking us to pray for Aretha, which praying for someone is one of the easiest things we can do, so we'll all be praying for Aretha. There was also a tribute to Dennis Edwards. You know, Dennis Edwards passed away recently. There was a tribute to him, and his award was picked up by his wife. There was a tribute to Motown Records. And they were inducted into the Rhythm and Blues Hall of Fame. Henry Washington, who used to be a concert promoter, was also inducted, and it's his brother, David Washington, who is the unsung commentator and also helped host the show. So I want to tell you about some of the inductees. There was Little Anthony and the Imperials, and I want to apologize to you because I'm not a singer, but I may sing a line or two, so to refresh your memory about who these people were, because us older folks, we know who they were. Younger people might not know. So Little Anthony and the Imperials, they sang, "Well, I think I'm going out of my head." They got an award. This was many years ago. I don't know if it was in the 50s or 60s. There were the Drifters, "Under the Boardwalk," which was one of their songs. And they say the neon lights are bright on Broadway. That was another Drifters song. Sam and Dave were inducted. Sam and Dave, their top hit was "Hold On, 'Cause I'm Coming." Hold on. Peaches and Herb, they were inducted. Their song that you might remember was "Reunited and It Feels So Good." Now, my husband and I were separated for many years, and when we got back together, that was our song, "Reunited." And the Spinners even had a song called Now That You're Mine Again that I never thought we were going to get back together, but my husband was sure we would get back together. The Shy Lights were inducted. Marshall of the Shy Lights was there to accept the award for the Shy Lights. The Shy Lights song was, Have You Seen Her? Tell me, have you seen her? And they were one of the top vocal groups. The Elgins were also inducted. And the Elgins song was, Heaven must have sent you from above. I hope I'm not hurting your ears, but I did want to refresh your memory about some of the people that Lamont is trying to preserve the legacy for. Writers were also inducted. Clay McMurray, who was one of the writers at Motown. And you didn't hear much about Clay McMurray, but he was very active there, very busy, and he did a lot of producing and writing and engineering. And Clay McMurray was the one that engineered Spider Turner's version of Stand By Me, which became a hit. Richard Popcorn Wiley, one of the Motown writers, was inducted into the Hall of Fame. Ivy Jo Hunter, who wrote the Spinners' hits. You know, the Spinners didn't have many hits while they were at Motown, but Ivy Jo Hunter wrote two of the hits that they had while they were at Motown. One was Truly Yours. How could you say that you were, the woman wrote this letter, and she ended it truly yours. And it was, how could you say that you were truly yours when you were never truly mine? And that was Truly Yours by the Spinners. He also wrote Sweet Thing by the Spinners. This was back in the 50s and 60s. Sweet Thing was, you don't always say the words I want to hear, but to me, you're always saying something dear. Though you're not the kind of girl who would win a beauty prize, there's a certain something in your eyes that makes me realize, girl, you're a sweet thing. And that was back in the early 60s. Two of the hits that the Spinners had with Motown. Another hit that the Spinners had with Motown was It's a Shame, which was written by Stevie Wonder. But they never got any gold records during the Motown years. Ken Bell, one of our premier disc jockeys. Ken Bell was known as the Master Blaster. He was inducted into the Rhythm and Blues Hall of Fame. I told you about Marcus Belgrave, who was a jazz trumpet player. The induction ceremony was the anniversary of his 1 year anniversary of his death. Marcus Belgrave, now, I was out and about during the years that the Spinners had hit records, and I saw all these musicians out at clubs. So when I was teaching, we had a program one Friday, and they said we had some entertainers that were coming in to entertain the students. Well, lo and behold, it was Marcus Belgrave. And I said, well, I am really shocked to see you here. And he said, oh, I do a lot of mentoring of students. And some of the students that he mentored were there, and they mentioned it. So I was so proud to see that although he was a part of the nightlife, he was also a part of the day life. So I was very proud for Lamont to be inducting Marcus Belgrave. Lamont is trying to keep the history alive of soul music. Music has changed so much, but we don't want to lose the music that was the foundation for what goes on now. He's trying to keep the music alive. Someone was telling me that they don't like seeing these groups without the original singers. There's one original spinner left, that's Henry Fambrough. one original member of the Temptations, that's Otis Williams, one original member of the Four Tops, that's Duke Fakir. Someone was telling me that they don't like seeing these groups without the original singers. But the object is to keep the music alive. So keeping soul music alive and keeping it documented. And the book that I showed you at the start has a lot of history in it. And Lamont Robinson presents one every show, every time he gives an induction. This is his sixth. It has a lot of information about our performers. And rhythm and blues music has been very good to me. So I don't want to lose what the foundation for what these people are doing nowadays, because I continually say that I like the oldies music better. So I'm going to take a short break, and when I come back, I'm going to share a few other things with you, but hopefully you'll stay tuned to A Spoonful of Comfort.
When I was 17, I ran away from home and from everything I had ever known. I was sick and tired, living in a town filled with narrow minds and hate. They used to laugh at me, their children called me names. I would run and hide, feeling so ashamed just for being born. I was just a boy, punished for a crime that was not mine. Life ain't so easy.
Thank you for staying with me for A Spoonful of Comfort. I was telling you about the Rhythm and Blues induction ceremony. It was a wonderful event, and I'm so proud that someone is trying to keep the rhythm and blues music alive. And Mary Wilson of the Supremes and Martha Reeves has gotten awards almost every time they give an award, give an induction ceremony. She's got awards for one reason or another. When she was on the city council, she got an award for helping to choose Detroit as the site for the Rhythm and Blues Museum. And she got an award for singing with the Vandellas. And she accepted the award for Motown this Sunday. So it was always good to see Martha, who is one of Detroit's icons, who never moved out of the city. So while I'm talking about music and entertainment, I want to tell you about the 20 Grand reunion. We've got the 20 Grand reunion coming up August the 11th at Burt's Warehouse. The 20 Grand reunion will be starting at 7 o'clock at Burt's Warehouse, and we're going to be honoring the people who kind of kept the 20 Grand's wheels rolling. So we're going to have Miss 20 Grand ladies, and we're going to have tiaras for them. Now, at this moment, I don't know who the Miss 20 Grand ladies are going to be. I'll have to see who shows up. But I did work there for 10 years, and that's where I met Purvis. And also another spinner met his wife at the 20 Grand. Henry Fambro met his wife, Norma Fambro, at the 20 Grand. So we're going to have the 20 Grand reunion. And there's going to be a tribute to Motown. We're going to recognize the people that kept the 20 Grand rolling right along. And that's some other history that I don't want to get lost. If we don't record and keep a memory of these things alive, they'll just go out into the universe and nobody will know that they happened. So the 20 Grand reunion, I'm hoping to see you there. It's going to be a great event. It's way overdue. We should have had a 20 Grand reunion. There have been 20 Grand reunions, but there haven't been any to recognize the people who frequented the 20 Grand. And Bill K. Bush, who owned the 20 Grand, was a wonderful, wonderful employer. He was from Lebanon, but he loved Detroit. He loved entertainers. He loved entertainment. So he ran the 20 Grand for as long as I was there. But Bill K. Bush was the type of person that took care of his employees. If any of us needed money before our paycheck came, if you said, BK, I need an advance on my salary, he would give you an advance on your salary. If an entertainer called and they were out of town and couldn't afford to get back in town, they would call BK. And BK would send them the money. And he'd say, well, Claudine, they're going to have to perform here because I had to send them some money. So BK was so good to us that we called him the Great White Father. Well, I did not know that he knew we referred to him as the Great White Father until one day someone wanted some money, and he told me he was going to send him the money. And he said, what am I going to do, Claudine? What is the Great White Father supposed to do? And I said, oh, so you know that we call you the Great White Father? I didn't know that he realized he was the Great White Father. I want to share a poem with you from my book that I wrote many years ago. And this poem is not actually about the 20 Grand, but it's about the kind of situations that went on at the 20 Grand and at other clubs. And it's called Happy Hour. We had times of frequenting clubs for happy hour. When people got off from work, they would go to the club, have a drink, and enjoy happy hour. So I was sitting at happy hour one day, looking around at all that was going on, and I wrote this poem, Happy Hour. Register ringing, jukebox singing, people talking, people walking, people dancing and romancing. Too many faces in these places. Fix me a drink so I can think. I worked hard all day, now I can play. And unwind, unwind, it's happy time. Find a chair and sit right there, 'cause when you move is when you lose. Unless you win a brand new friend with whom you might just spend the night. Happy hour has the power to make you feel that it's for real. But come the dawn, you must move on, unless you find some peace of mind. But that's so rare. But do you care? You'll find again a different friend with whom you might just spend the night. And try to find some peace of mind, and if you do, this one's for you. So with a shove, you fall in love. Oh, no, fool, that's against the rules, 'cause what love will do is the bench for you. Out of the game, now that's a shame. But love is so great, so why does fate come in to steal what was for real? So love is gone. So alone again. Meet some new friends. Work hard all day, now I can play. So many faces in these places. From 5 to 9, it's happy time. So I know that there are those of you that used to attend happy hour too, because happy hour used to be very crowded. So before I go, I want to ask you a little bit about how people treat you. Now, do people in your life treat you with energy and encouragement, or do they block what you're trying to do and try to talk you out of what you're trying to do? People sometimes when they say, oh, you can't do that, and you say, I'm going to do such and such, and they say, oh, you can't do that, it's not what you can't do, it's what they can't do. So maybe you can do it. When I was going to write a book, somebody said, well, what makes you think you can write a book? Well, I didn't know how successful the book would be, but I knew I had a lot in me that I wanted to express, and so that I knew I was going to write a book. And my students, when I was teaching, I used to tell them, self-expression. You get a chance to express yourself. And however other people take it, if you're expressing yourself in a positive manner, then don't worry about expressing yourself. So I have a few scriptures that I want to leave with you, because after all, this is a spoonful of comfort. About renewal, Romans 12:2, be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. Now, how do you renew your mind? Well, if you read your Bible and you listen to positive comments, it helps to renew your mind. Be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. He restores my soul. That's in the, well, everybody knows the 23rd Psalm. He restores my soul. So he restores your mind. He restores your soul. They that wait on the Lord will renew their strength, and they will mount up on wings as an eagle. So he renews your mind. He restores your soul. He renews your strength. And speaking as someone who had to be renewed over and over, I realized that this is true. The words in the Bible bring light into your life, and they bring life into your life. And when you read the Bible and speak the Bible, you're speaking forth the words that God has spoken. But you're not only supposed to speak forth the words, you're supposed to live the words. So it's about time for me to go. I want to say thanks to R.J. Watkins and Henry Tyler for giving the community a voice. Tune in next week at 1:30 on Tuesday for A Spoonful of Comfort. And may God bless you and keep you.